10 years since the Holiday Bowl. What are your memories and thoughts about the game?
Oh man, a lot of excitement. It was a good time. Playing in a tough game, finding a way to win against an opponent we were considered would run up and down our throat all game long. The week leading up to it was great. Coach Tomey had a lot of good things to say as far as getting our minds mentally prepared. At the same time, having a good time there and enjoying the week as well. So it was a nice combination of both. And, just like I said, just an exciting time. I remember riding back on the bus after the game and, Coach Tomey sitting right next to me saying, hey, it's a great thing to be a part of. I was like, man, that's an understatement, basically.
Does that game kind of sum up that team? I mean, you had McAllister making big plays. You guys had to make clutch plays, both offense, defense, and special teams. Was that just kind of a perfect culmination?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, your role players played their role. I was a role player and did what I had to do on special teams, what I had to do on offense, whether it was block, catch a pass or two. Like you said, Chris McAllister kind of ending the season the way we started it. Hawaii, he runs back a kickoff return to start the season. He has an interception to seal the win against Nebraska to end the season. Kelvin Ifan providing that punch all game long. Troy Kennedy mixing it up. Keith and OJ, doing their thing back and forth with the two-headed monster at quarterback. I mean, just a lot of plays being made all over the field by everybody involved. And that game basically summed it all up.
You guys beat a Nebraska team that maybe not was the best Nebraska team, but had the bigger name. But there was a Kansas State team that had the same record as you looming. Did you guys ever discuss who you were going to play, or did you just were happy to get that primetime bowl?
I think I remember just happy to get a bowl. I mean, I knew we weren't going to the Rose Bowl because UCLA lost to Miami, and everybody was, kind of disappointed about that. But once we realized we were going to, San Diego, we were going to play in a big-time bowl game against a big-time opponent. I mean, like you said, Nebraska team wasn't, Tommy Frazier, Lawrence Phillips type Nebraska, but I think they had Eric Crouch that year. I don't remember, but, Nebraska's still Nebraska. I mean, even today, you're not going to look down at Nebraska because, they'll run it up and down on you, whether it's pass now or whether it was the run back then. So we knew we had ourselves a tough opponent because my 2 years being there, we hadn't played a team like that before. Iowa was big, and they were strong that year, but Nebraska, that was a whole other animal back then.
Now, what's the week or week and a half, whatever you're in location? How do you balance football with all the events they have planned for you, with vacation, with what basically your job is?
Well, you got to stay out of trouble first of all. When you have your free time, because when you're on the field. You usually practice that morning. You probably watch some film right afterwards, lift a few weights, and you're focused and you're doing your job there. Well, the thing is that, the mandatory events that you go to, your team events, that's easy. You're with your team, you're talking football, you might hang out with the other team, talk with a couple of guys from there. It's when you're by yourself, you have your free time, that's where you have to really be disciplined, not get into, compromising situations, whatever they may be. Staying out late, staying out later than you should, even if you don't have a curfew. I remember we were there, I want to say 5 days, maybe 6 days before game day, and the first 2 or 3 days we didn't have a curfew. Well, that doesn't mean just because you don't have a curfew, you stay out till 6 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? You got to be disciplined enough to get back, get some rest, because you do have practice the next day. And there's a balance there that, lies on your own shoulders because your coaches, they're not babysitters.
Okay, now it's been, fast forward, it's 10 years since an Arizona team's played in a bowl game. It's been some lows, some highs. What's it like as a guy who played and bled for Arizona, seeing this team back in a bowl?
I'm happy to see it. I'm not going to say I got emotional, but I got nostalgic watching those guys celebrate and take their pictures against Arizona State, and everybody just having smiles on their faces and talking to the seniors, because I wasn't the senior that got to enjoy a moment like that. Did I win my last game? Yeah, but not my last game to go to a bowl game. And, you really just feel happy for the guys that are going through and have gone through what I went through. The 6 a.m., 5 a.m. training sessions in the springtime, the summer workouts in the dead heat of the summer, training camp, tough losses. You see those guys go through those kind of things, and to have the season end the way it did, and for them to get to a bowl game and kind of bring it back to Arizona, I felt really good and really proud of Willie and Ronnie and those guys that have kind of been through the ringer a couple of years.
Now you get those extra practices, which are key. How much of it is spent prepping for the opponent, and how much do you kind of sneak in reps for the guys you're going to need next year, kind of pre-spring practice?
I think, and this is the way we did it, I don't know how Coach Stoops does it, but there was a lot of primary stuff for Nebraska. I mean, at the time I was in the process of changing positions, so I participated in a couple of scrimmages on the defensive side of the ball, and if you do that after practice, after everybody's got your work in, because number one, you're on a national stage. You don't want to be embarrassed. So I would imagine you primarily focus on the team you're going to play and whatever it's going to take to win that game. And I can imagine Stoops and those guys are doing the same thing.
When you're in the recruiting process and you're a junior or even a senior, do you look at the bowls? Are you watching? Are you comparing teams and seeing how would you fit? Or is that something that's kind of newer now that every single bowl's on and there's, 154 of them?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a new thing. I don't remember being glued to the television watching every single bowl game. I remember watching the Rose Bowl because it was a Pac-10, Big Ten thing, and I was a Pac-10 guy coming out of high school. The national championship, obviously, and whatever bowl games you can catch because, I think it's completely different now. I mean, I'm sure guys are watching bowl games left and right, what teams you're playing and, what school you're thinking about going to and who's playing the position that you might play and that kind of thing. And recruiting and all that's gone to a whole other level since I was in high school.
Thank you.
Not